Lewis.
Myself from an entrepreneurial background and space, we hear a lot about imposter syndrome. I also work with a lot of, or when I used to do health and fitness coaching, I worked with a lot of driven professionals in C-suite roles and that sort of thing. So I used to see a lot of the words imposter syndrome branded about all over the place. So what I want to kind of get from you initially is what even is imposter syndrome for someone that's seen it branded up or seen it
Okay.
used as a pain point? What actually is it?
Well, it's not a recognized psychological condition. It is a phenomenon. There's a guy who writes for the Daily Mail called Dr. Max Pemberton, who is quoted to say that it's a very real thing in people's lives today. And it manifests itself because people are trying to be like others. They're trying to show their very best self by maybe pretending they're not really who they are. And social media's got a lot to answer for, particularly the way women are feeling that they have to improve their looks. They feel perhaps they're not quite good enough. So the imposter syndrome really defines itself as people feeling a bit of a fake, people feeling a bit of a phony, people feeling anxious because they don't feel quite good enough in today's society. And it's a condition that actually doesn't just affect women. There was a brilliant white paper written by a woman called Claire Josa, who is the UK's leading researcher on imposter syndrome. She produced a white paper in 2019, and it's even cited by American imposter syndrome purported gurus because nothing had been written about it before. And Claire's study showed that 49% of men and 52% of women in the last year have had those feelings of anxiety, of not being good enough, of feeling a bit of a fake, of feeling that they're going to get caught out, or they're going to be found out to be some sort of imposter.
You mentioned anxiety a few times. How do we know, or how can someone that's watching this, that's maybe, or listening to this, that's maybe thinking, oh, I get anxiety quite a bit. How can they distinguish the difference between the two? Because anxiety and stress is also very much buzzwords at the moment.
Yeah.
How can we tell the difference between when someone's just got general anxiety or maybe social anxiety or a lack of confidence and imposter syndrome? Or is there not a difference? Do they kind of merge into one?
Well, they
What's
kind
what's
of
the
do. They kind of do. I'm asking myself actually why you're asking that question, because does it really matter to know whether you've got anxiety or imposter syndrome? If you're anxious, you're anxious, and most people at some point in their lives or during the day even. I mean, anxiety is normal. To feel, a bit concerned about an exam coming up, or to feel concerned about an interview or a business meeting is quite a normal state to be in. Imposter syndrome is more driven by a constant feeling that you're going to be exposed. For example, at work, you might find that you're overworking. You're putting too many hours in because you want to be your very best self and you want to kind of hit that perfectionist route. You might hold yourself back, be a bit timid about answering questions because you don't think your answer is going to be the right one. Therefore, you feel anxious because you don't feel that you're good enough to be able to answer something. And someone's going to say, are you sure? What's going on for you? Which, of course, will increase your anxiety. So
Okay, gotcha.
I don't really think it matters whether you say I'm anxious or I've got imposter syndrome. The thing is to talk to somebody, to find out what you can do about it. Talk to a therapist, talk to a counsellor, talk to a coach and say, look, I'm feeling a bit peculiar about this and what can I do? And there are things that you can do because the mind and the body work as one unit and there are lots of different, strategies that you can use to help you control that feeling of inadequacy and that feeling of being a bit phony. I mean, I felt it in my life and I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, 100%.